Welcome back, homeowners that live in Harlem, New York City. My name is Ray Roberts. Welcome back to Fight the Power. And again, I am continuing another segment of my documentary, which I am creating in regards, in this case, to the Sanitation Department issuing of bogus dirty street tickets to the tax-paying homeowners that live on my block. Okay. Now, I was telling you in the last video that I have some documents I wanted you to take a look at, okay? The first one is a review that I wrote to Consumer Affairs with regards to a collection agency by the name of Performant Recovery, okay? Formerly known as Diversified Services Incorporated, okay? Now, I'm just going to read this, basically, I'm not going to read this particular copy. I'm just going to tell you the introduction because this is how I introduced the letter that my mother wrote to the Environmental Control Board of New York City, which I typed up for her. Okay. Basically, after I sent the letter, I sent a complaint to Consumer Affairs. Okay. So basically, what I wrote is to Consumer Affairs. I am posting this on behalf of my elderly mother, June. The New York City Environmental Control Board is charging my mother over $1,000 in violations for tickets she never received because unknown pedestrians left paper cups and napkins, quote unquote, on the street in front of her house. She was away in Washington, D.C. undergoing double hip implant surgery during the 6-month period in question. The judge's ruling got Diversified Collections involved as the collecting agency. I think the letter to the judge I am typing on my mother's behalf tells the story best, okay? So this segment I want to talk about the Environmental Control Board and their affiliation with Diversified Collection Services. Well, that's what their old name was, okay? That formerly known as Diversified Collection Services, now they're known as Performant Recovery, okay? It just happens to be that I understand that a lot of businesses when they go into bankruptcy or they have some kind of a bad litigation and they need to try to resurrect their image, okay, and try to continue doing business under another name, they go ahead and change their name, okay, so that people won't associate them with the bogus or illegal practices that they were participating in under the previous name, okay. I don't know for a fact this is the case with this company, Diversified, but what I do know is that when you go on Consumer Complaints and Reviews, you can see that they have what? They have 56 complaints and reviews with Consumer Affairs, okay? So I'm not the first one, apparently, that has been abused by this company, all right? Now I'm going to read this letter to you, and I'm going to fill in whatever else, whatever parts of this that may not seem to be clear to anybody after I finish reading it. Okay. Dear Judge Schwartz, and this is dated May the 24th, 2013. Attached, please find receipts for violation numbers 148861332, 159154415, 138857876, 150-295, 250, and 149240228. The preceding fines were paid in October and November of 2012 to Performant Recovery Incorporated, North Canyon Parkway, Suite 100, Livermore, California, 94551, formerly Diversified Collection Services Incorporated, DCI. P.O. Box 9057, Pleasanton, California, 94566-9057. Collector's name is Corey Welch. Phone number 1-800-866-5317. They repeatedly claim to have never received any money from me. That is not so, as you can see from the accompanying receipts. And when we're talking about accompanying receipts, we're talking about the receipts to the money orders that I purchased from the money order store for her. All right, and we made copies of them, so we know that they were paid. Okay, as a matter of fact, we had to pay for a trace to be put on the money orders after we paid them, and this Performant recovery claims to have never received the money orders, that she sent them in October and November, okay? And they actually cashed the money orders, and they were claiming that they never received it, all right? Now, I'm going to continue with the letter. I went to E.C.B. in November of 2012, as they had not received any money from Performant. They said I could pay the $300 for each infraction. E.C.B. looked up my violations and noted that several had already been paid, and at least one was duplicated from the Performant listing. I wrote to Performant and asked them to forward my payments to E.C.B., see enclosed letter, and send me the receipts. I've been waiting now for 7 months to receive a receipt. Performant then assigned me a new account number, further clouding and burying the original item identifiers, okay? Now, continuing on, I subsequently paid for a trace to be put on the money orders, see accompanying receipts, in parentheses, by the issuing company, which identified the amounts and the dates that they were cashed and where they were cashed, okay? About 3 weeks ago, I received a bill for $1,989.04. The expiration date for the E.C.B. fines to be paid was December 2012. The start date for Performance involvement was January 2013, okay, at which time Performant would handily be able to charge me the inflated price, okay? So basically, what's happened is that, my mother was away in Washington undergoing double implant surgery, okay? She had some people here at the house to look over the house while she was gone, but we never received any tickets, okay? And these ticket numbers that I read to you, these are from what? 2005, 2006, 2007, okay? And the first time we even knew we had these tickets was in 2012, okay? And they came from a third party, which is a collection agency. In this case, this company that calls itself Performant Recovery, okay? Formerly known as Diversified Collection Services. That's when we first found out about all these tickets that we had on record, okay? Why? Why did it take so long for us to know we had tickets? That's between the E.C.B. And the Sanitation Department, and between Diversified Collections, now known as Performant Recovery. The three of y'all knew we had the tickets for what? For 10 years, okay? Or at least the first two agencies knew, and then y'all, E.C.B., the Environmental Control Board, after the stipulated time for us to be able to argue against the tickets, or to present some type of a defense, that statute of time had long passed, so we didn't even have access to a court hearing to address these tickets, okay, that were given to our house while my mother was in Washington having double hip surgery, okay. We didn't get wind of this until 13 years, 2005, 8 years after the tickets were issued, and then we get word of it from some third-party agency that has 56 complaints with Consumer Affairs that are posted for the public online. This is the organization that the Environmental Control Board put in charge of collecting these fees and the charges for these tickets that we supposedly are guilty, for trashing the street outside in front of our house. All right. My mother was in Washington D.C. with me, living with me, while she was undergoing her recuperation. All right. So we weren't here. Not that that matters, because we did have people here, but they never got the tickets either. So nobody even knew we had a ticket. All right. Now, I'm going to read a little bit more from this letter. About 3 weeks ago, I received a bill for $1,989.04. Well, I already read that. The next paragraph starts, yesterday, I received another letter from Performant Recovery that claims that I owe them $2,671.98 as of May 19th of 2013. Now, how can Performant continue to add interest and other charges that may vary from day to day, quote unquote, in May of 2013 for infractions that I paid back in October and November of 2012, So basically, Performant when we called them to ask them for a receipt for the money they got, they said they never received the money. They lied, okay? And although we have the money orders and we have the tracer report that shows that they didn't only receive it in November and October of last year, but that they cashed it, all right? And they're telling us that they didn't receive it and they haven't been cashed. That's more bullshit, all right? Now, my mother's statement to the judge: please help me out of this dilemma. It is neither fair nor just that I should be taken advantage of and mistreated in this situation. Attached, please find my supporting documentation. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter. Yours truly, Miss June Roberts. Okay? Now, she gave some background information on the next page. I'm going to read that. The tickets were issued to Lenox Avenue Corporation. We're speaking of those tickets from back in 2005 and 6 and all that. There is no Lenox Avenue Corporation. My husband, who had sole ownership of the corporation, died in a fire in 1988. As his widow, I took it upon myself to pay off all his debts, this one included. I never received any tickets for dirty streets. I saw only later copies of tickets for paper cups, paper napkins and paper cups left at the curb by unidentified people in parked cars in front of my house. I would certainly have paid the $100 original fine instead of the $300 escalated cost of the fine had I ever seen the original tickets, all right? I was in Washington, D.C. undergoing 2 hip replacement surgeries at Providence Hospital under head of orthopedic surgery, I'll just say Arthur, okay, during the period in question. My visits were intermittent over a 6-year period. I am a senior citizen aged 77 years. I do not and have never let garbage or debris accumulate outside my home. I have always prided myself in keeping it in a pristine manner. I pay the superintendent next door and my son to pick up trash. Sometimes I get paid, rarely, but I do it because it's my house, all right? It's our family house. To pick up trash, to sweep, and regularly hose down my steps and the sidewalk in front of my home on a regular basis. Please look with favor upon my case. I remain respectfully yours, Miss June. Okay? June Roberts. Okay? Same last name as my last name. All right? Now, something has to be done about the way that you all are doing business. Okay? This is for the Environmental Control Board. I got a response in my email, regarding this documentary that I'm filming, because I've been sending copies of these clips I'm making to the Department of Sanitation and to the Environmental Control Board, as well as to Mayor Bloomberg, okay, which I'm beginning to send to him, and to I believe the administrative oath, the law judges, the oath. I can't say their title correctly, but they're judges who work with the E.C.B, or they oversee the E.C.B and several other agencies, such as sanitation, and they litigate the tickets, okay? So when I said that you are complicit, E.C.B, with what's going on, I meant that, okay? And I think anybody with any common sense understands that if you are taking cases from the Sanitation Department and you are prosecuting them with your judge, okay, and we're being our case has been handed off to some third-party collecting agency who has a 1-star rating, okay, according to Consumer Affairs Department. Why would you hand us off to a criminal organization, or organization that has wayward practices, who has shown a history which is public of wayward practices when they're dealing with the people that they're collecting from, okay? As far as I'm concerned, all of you are in cahoots with each other, Why don't you check and see before you hand off somebody's case to some other third party? Why don't you check and see if that third party even has any kind of scruples, okay, with the way they do business with your people, with your citizens, okay? Something's going to have to change here. And as I said, I'm not going to stop making these videos. It ain't over yet, okay? It's not over yet, all right? Until I get some kind of respect And until you all change that law and you stop giving out tickets to private homeowners up here that pay taxes, you know, for garbage that somebody else, you know, put outside on the curb, or for a paper bag that the wind blew, you know, in front of my house. As a gentleman outside from Parks and Recreation was just telling me that sometimes, you know, the wind blows and it messes up the island out there and it makes it look like they're not doing their job. Although, you know, unfortunately I have to say that, you know, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I have been looking out there in that island, and the same garbage and same paper was out there, you know, as was when I originally looked at it 2 to 3 weeks before I made my film for my documentary about the Middle Island, okay? But as I said, you know, evidently it's not Parks and Recreation just handing out the tickets, okay? I'm getting the bogus-ass dirty street tickets in the mail from the Sanitation Department, you know. And, you know, they got somebody's name on it that has nothing to do with our property, for one thing, okay? And we never see the original ticket. It comes in the mail, all right, what, 2 weeks after? So you're already eating into the time that we have to even request a fair hearing because you're behind in your work, okay? You got citizens outside cleaning the street, okay? But we have this thing called the Sanitation Department. What do you do? What do you do, man? Is your job to just ride around and issue tickets? Or are you cleaning up anything? Okay? Why don't you clean up the curb? Why don't you eat it? Okay? Why don't you eat that garbage that I have to clean up every day and don't get paid for, but we do pay our taxes, you know what I'm saying? So what are we paying for? What are we paying you to do? To send tickets out to innocent people? To walk around and write out bogus tickets? You know, when people are trying to go to work or they're going to sleep, you know? You can't go to sleep at night, all right, because the wind might blow the wrong way. And if there's a paper cup or a napkin, and my mother's paying thousands of dollars for that, something wrong with that. Somebody should do that to your mother.